Hello everyone, thank you all for tuning in to today's case. Today's case is going to be on Angelina Hammond. Angelina was born in Kansas City, Missouri on February the 9th, 1971. Angelina was smart and witty according to everyone who knew her. She was likable and very popular in school. Angelina was also very driven, and everyone that knew her knew she was destined for great things. When Angelina was 19, she started dating 18-year-old Rob Schaefer. Rob was a football star at the same school Angelina had attended, and the two of them were the perfect couple. Both popular, both smart, funny, and very likable. The two got along great. In January of 1991, when Angelina found out she was pregnant, Rob asked Angelina to marry him, and she said yes immediately. Rob's goal was to join the military, but until then, he worked different jobs. Angelina attended Central Missouri State University during the day and worked evenings at a bank. On April 4th, 1991, Angelina and Rob went to a barbecue at the home of Angelina's mother, Marcia. Around 9 p.m. that evening, Rob left the barbecue to head over to his parents' house for the evening where he had to babysit his little brother. Angelina went and picked up her best friend, and the two drove around and just hung out. At 11:15 p.m., Angelina dropped her friend off at home and went to a payphone to call Rob. Angelina and Rob didn't have a home phone at the time, so the nearby payphone was Angelina's only option. Angelina was supposed to go over to Rob's parents' house that night, but she was feeling so tired she just wanted to go home and go to bed. That was her reason for calling Rob that night. While on the phone, a truck pulled into an empty parking lot and was driving around. Angelina told Rob about this truck, and she was describing it to Rob. The truck pulled out of the lot and drove away. They talked about how weird that was, but didn't really think anything of it. Soon, a man got out of the truck and went to a phone booth next to the one Angelina was in. Again, Angelina mentioned this to Rob, but in 1991, everyone used payphones, so it wasn't too alarming. After a brief minute, the man returned to his truck, got a flashlight, and seemed to be looking for something. Angelina was starting to feel unsettled by all this and said so to Rob. Rob said maybe the phone he had tried to use wasn't working, and he was waiting for Angelina to finish up so he could use the phone she was on. Rob heard Angelina lean out of the phone booth and asked this man if he needed to use the phone, and he answered her and said no. Both Angelina and Rob started to feel uneasy, so Angelina started to describe the man to Rob. She said he was a white man wearing overalls and a baseball hat. She said he had a beard, and he also appeared very dirty. She had also described the truck to Rob. Suddenly, Rob heard a scream and realized it was Angelina. He then heard the man say, "I didn't need to use the phone anyway." The phone went dead, and Rob ran out of the house into his car and drove over to where this payphone was, which was only a few minutes away from his parents' house. On the way there, he saw a truck coming towards him that fit the description that Angelina had given him. He saw a man driving and noticed a woman in the passenger seat leaning over the driver and screaming. As he passed, he heard Angelina screaming, "Robbie, Robbie," trying to get his attention. Rob quickly pulled a U-turn and started chasing the truck. He chased the truck for a couple of miles, and when the truck pulled down a side road, Rob attempted to follow, but his vehicle then died. He could only watch the truck drive away. In a panic, he jumped out of the car and attempted to run after the truck. But, of course, that was not going to work. So he then turned around to head back into town and get help. He flagged down a passing car, and they drove Rob directly to the police station. Now, the town of Clinton, Missouri is a quiet, small town. The police weren't quite sure what to think of this story from this young man at midnight. A search began for Angelina, the abductor, and his truck. The Missouri State Highway Patrol checked hundreds of trucks matching the description, but all were ruled out. With few leads in this case, investigators questioned Rob's story. Rob then took a polygraph test and passed, and was later ruled out as a suspect. Police felt like Angela's case was connected to two other missing cases in the area. There have been multiple unconfirmed sightings of Angela. Angela was 4 months pregnant at the time of her abduction. To this day, Angela has not been found. I feel like this story is very heartbreaking, and I really hope that Angelina and her family can get some kind of closure, some kind of justice. It's honestly so heartbreaking that she was so young. She had her whole life ahead of her, and some random man just snatched it away. Thank you all for listening to today's video. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Thank you all very much.